Welcome back. Hope you all are doing well. This is Mohammad Badruddin back again with another topic, and today we are going to see exploit server. What is exploit server? What are the key features of exploit server, and how many type of exploit servers are there, and where and how we can use exploit server. This topic I choose because many people ask me about exploit server, what it is, why we use it, and how we can use it, how we can publish our own exploit server, how we can publish our or how we can host our own exploits through exploit server. So from these questions, it seems like people actually need to understand more, or maybe people are confused about it, about exploit server. So, because a lot of time you see in the PortSwigger labs that the lab does not allow anyone to interact with any other external services. So they provide you exploit server, and that exploit server, they want you to consider it is hosted by you as an attacker or hacker or a penetration tester. So first of all, we will see what is exploit server, then we will talk about the features of exploit server, and then we will see how many type of exploit server could be there possibly, and then we will take some examples like webhook.site, hookbin, pepdream, ngrok plus python, and render or glitch. So we will use these are free services, you can use these services, and we will see some labs, and in the lab we will use WebGoat because PortSwigger labs does not allow you to interact with any of these services. Okay, so we will see that in a minute, but first of all we will go with exploit server. So an exploit server is a tool, or you can say system, which is used in the penetration testing and in cybersecurity to actually simulate or deliver exploits to a target system or application. It is not only about sending the exploit or malicious script. You may also publish some files or reverse shells through the exploit servers. Okay, and it is not only for the web applications, it could be used with for another purposes, for another type of systems. Okay, it depends, we will talk about it later. So it is typically used to test vulnerabilities and demonstrate the proof of concept attacks or validate security controls. Okay, so if we talk about the key features of the exploit server, so the first feature of the exploit server, as well as the name is concerned, the first feature is exploit delivery. So this is basically the server which is hosted by and controlled by the attacker or hacker. Okay, and overall everything which is hosted or published over exploit server is hosted by or controlled by the hacker or attacker. Okay, so the first purpose of the exploit server is to deliver the exploit. So the server host and deliver exploits, for example malicious payloads, scripts, or code to a target system, and this could involve exploiting vulnerabilities like buffer overflow, SQL injection, remote code execution, cross-site scripting. Okay, the second key feature of the exploit server is controlled environment. How controlled environment is a key feature. So because as I mentioned before, it is operated by and controlled by the attacker, so it ensures that the exploit is delivered safely and only to the intended target during the authorized testing. So whenever you are going to test any application or any system or any infrastructure, make sure you have explicit permissions to test that. You must read the scopes, what is out of scope and what is in the scope of the testing, and according to that, maybe sometime in rule of engagements you will find that you cannot use this kind of external services like webhook or glitch or hookbin, because it could be dangerous if you test it on the external sites. So in that way, in that situation, you will have to create your own secure exploit server. Maybe they will provide, the client will provide you whatever server you want, maybe with the Python environment and something, and there you can use that as a exploit server. Fine. So the third thing, or the third key feature of the exploit server, is logging and monitoring. And this is again the most important thing, because whenever you try to access or interact with your hosted exploit server from the compromised application, the server will log the interactions with the target as successful exploitation attempts, responses from the target, or any error encountered. This help basically in analyzing the impact and the effectiveness of the exploit. So later on, you can take the screenshot and you can show to the client that, okay, we try this and your server have this kind of vulnerability, and we are successful in connecting with exploit server, which is our controlled exploit server, and these are the logs. So you can attach the log file or the screenshot of the logs, where you can show that the vulnerable server successfully hit the exploit server, which is controlled by you. So logging and monitoring is another key feature of the exploit server. Another key feature of the exploit server is custom payload. Okay, so a lot of time you may get some exploits available on the exploit databases, but you want to publish, or you want to host your custom payloads. So it allows tester to customize payloads to suit specific vulnerability or scenario, such as embedding reverse shell, executing commands, or exfiltrating data. The last but not least is integration with testing frameworks. So exploit servers are often integrated with penetration testing frameworks like Metasploit, Burp Suite, or custom scripts to automate and streamlining the testing process. So similarly, Collaborator from the Burp Suite professional version and Metasploit also have exploit server, which is integrated with the rest of the framework. So these are the key features of exploit server. I hope you understand better than before that what exploit server is and what are the key features of the exploit server. Now the third point is type of exploit servers. So the exploit server can be categorized based on their purpose, functionality, and the type of vulnerability they target, right? So the first one, if I talk about, I will talk about based on the exploit delivery method. Why delivery method? Because there could be direct exploit server or indirect exploit server. Okay, direct exploit server basically deliver exploits directly to the target, like sending a malicious payload via network connection. Similar to the multi-handler of the Metasploit. And indirect exploit server hosts exploits that the target retrieves, like malicious file hosted on a web server. For example, you publish a Python web server and you host a reverse shell payload. Second, you can categorize the exploit server based on the exploit type. The first one is based on the delivery method, and the second one is based on the exploit type. Like it depends on the situation in which you are. Like if you are in a situation of remote code execution, so you will host, or you will deliver the payload that execute arbitrary code on the target. For example, you can exploit a vulnerable web app to run the system commands. Exploit type, again, RFI, LFI. So you can host malicious files for local or remote file inclusion attacks, like hosting a PHP reverse shell for remote code execution. Similarly, for cross-site scripting and SQL injection attacks. So it depends, the category of the exploit server depends on the type of attack and delivery method. Similarly, you can also categorize the exploit server based on the protocols. Like you want to access, you are in a situation where you want to access the HTTPS instead of HTTP, because the website you basically, or the web application you basically you are testing, that only allows HTTPS connections. So you want to test it over HTTPS. Okay, similarly for TCP, UDP or DNS. So it also depends on type of protocols. Next, it could be depend upon the interaction type, like within a network or outside of the network, in band interaction or out of band interaction. Okay, similarly it is based on the persistence. So persistence based exploit server maintains long term access to the target, for example C2 framework like Cobalt Strike or Silver. And there could be non persistent exploit servers that is used only for hosting or delivering the exploit only for one time for proof of concept testing. So these are the type of exploit server that could be exist. Also depends on the HTTP method sometime, because sometime you exfiltrate the data only for the GET request. Sometime there is a form and the method HTTP method is post. So these are two different things. So whenever you interact with interact with the web application and you want to exfiltrate some data, you need to check out the HTTP method also, that if the application is using post or get. So according to that you have to change some script in your exploit server to actually fetch the data from the GET request or from the post request. Fine. So this is all about exploit server, and I tried to explain it as simple as possible. I hope you understand. So in the next video I'm going to show you all these tools in action. I already created a home lab by installing WebGoat, and I will use this WebGoat application for the vulnerability testing, and I will basically test for XSS, and once I get the XSS I will go and use webhook.site as my exploit server. Okay, and I will also use Python server as exploit server. I will also use glitch.me with the WebGoat reflected XSS. Now these two I will use as exploit server. Okay, now just check out the specification. Suppose you are testing one application that is vulnerable to XSS, or you can say some kind of injection. So at that instant you just want to test it whether the application is interacting any out of band site or not. So for that purpose you can use webhook.site. So you cannot host any payload with this platform. So payload hosting is no. Request capture, yes, you can capture the request. So whenever the vulnerable application hit webhook.site, it will basically provide you one unique URL, and that URL, whenever the vulnerable application will hit that URL, you will get the hit there. Same like PortSwigger. In PortSwigger you might have seen that whenever we deliver the exploit to the victim and we go to the logs, in logs we find that okay, this is the IP address from where we get the hit. So similar to that you can capture the request. Okay, and if you have used Burp Collaborator, same like Burp Collaborator, you can capture the request. Free tier, yes, this is free. This application, this platform is free. And nodes, easiest, no login needed or no login required. Okay, so you just go and visit this site. There is no login. You will directly get one unique URL, and you can use that URL anywhere you want. And if anyone access that URL, you will get the log there or hit. Okay, similar to that, there is one more application which is Hookbin. So payload hosting is not there. You cannot host any payload. but yeah, you can capture the request. This is also free, and this hook bin basically good for the cookie stealing. Okay, stealing the cookie. Pip dream or pipe dream, whatever you pronounced, this is advanced one. You can host your payload also. You can capture the request. This is also free and good for full automation. The fourth one is ngrok plus Python. This is also excellent. You can host your payload. This is also able to capture the request. This is free also and full control for demos. Okay, now render and glitch. Payload hosting is possible. Request capture, yes, free tier. This is also free. And persistent public server. This is the persistent public server. It requires login. Okay, so we will see webhook and we will also see the glitch. So that's it for this video. This is the part 1 for the exploit server, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.